Good morning and welcome to Fitch Painting and Repairs Garage. Today's project, continuing on this 2002 Suzuki TL1000R. We had a no start issue that we pinpointed down into the wire harness on the front fairing, controls all the operations of the hand controls. It's a sub harness from the main harness that connects in a series of connectors. We got it pinpointed to the wire harness itself, but we are unable to isolate which wire actually is the problem. But this entire bundle here, somewhere in, now the starter button has two wires that comes off of it, an orange with a white wire and a yellow with a green stripe. Orange with white stripe, green, or yellow with green stripe. And you can see it right here. This is the power button, and I believe it's got something to do with this harness. And we pulled it all apart, we measured everything, we've got good continuity on all the wires, we can't find a connection problem. So I'm thinking it's possibly this connector in here is actually the problem. We're going to pull this wire out again, and we're going to take a look at it, and very closely again. But you move this wire around and she fires right up. So I'm thinking what we got is where it goes into the connector. You know, you got a female, you got a male, and it's just loose and it's moving around. That's my theory. I have not verified this theory. Rebuilt the turn signal connection, so we got a quick connect in there, we can remove it. But I believe the solution to quote fix the problem is to replace this entire sub harness. Now I have found it on a local, not a local, but I have found it on an online supply house. It's about $200 and some for the sub harness. But I believe that is where the problem is. Somebody has been in here, this fairing has been off, it's been modified, it's been redone, put back together. This is probably a body kit off of another bike. This bike was probably wrecked. These things are notorious for that. People lay them down, they smash up that front fairing, and then they hack in a wiring harness. Now somebody done it somewhat properly, or somebody who previously owned this motorcycle had attempted to do the repair, or had a shop attempt to do the repair, and to figure out where this intermittent electrical issue was. And they pulled this wire harness all apart to try to figure it out, just like I did. But then when they put it back together, they didn't fix anything. They just taped it all back up and stuck it back in there, and then most likely sold the bike to the next unsuspecting customer. So $200 and some plus my labor and all that to fix the problem. I've already got about $200 worth of labor into it to do what I've done so far. I've actually got way more labor into it than just what I'm charging him for, because it's more of an education process for me. So I got a lot of labor into this, a lot of labor trying to figure this out, and we're still going to be putting some more labor into it. So, just as a heads up, that's where we're at in this. If you guys have intermittent start issues or anything like that, you know, electrical stuff can be a pain in the butt. A lot of people have problems with the contact point because this has got a little spring in it, and that spring will break, and it'll break the continuity. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't, sometimes it just goes completely dead. Switch is verified, we're all good. Now, the first time I went through and verified all this stuff, I kept having open lead issues, high resistance issues on wires on the sub harness. And come to find out, what happened was my electrical lead for my tester unit. This is the electrical lead right here that you plug into your test unit. This is the original one that came with my meter, and I believe right in here there's a break. So I got tired of chasing these intermittents and trying to figure out what was going on with them, and so I tested the meter, and what it showed me was I had an open lead in my test leads. So this wire is probably separated or broken here. I think what happened is either from just wrapping it up and putting it away for 10, 12 years, whatever it's been, that it's just broke down or broken the wires. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And possibly it got caught in the drawer. When I put it away, it got pinched or something. But I went out and bought a new set. Got myself a brand new set of them. So we're all good. I used my mobile unit here wires to test it and verify if I actually had a problem with it. And these wires are good for my smaller unit. So I went ahead and of all places that had, I went everywhere. I was looking all over the place to see where I could find a set of these. And Lowe's had them. They had a couple different kinds that you could purchase, and they worked perfect. Awesome. So went back through, did a bunch of verification on that wire harness. Could not isolate the open lead, could not isolate the fault in the wiring harness. I went through and went through and went through, and I couldn't find it, couldn't verify it. So I put the bike all back together, and immediately, as soon as I put the bike back together, I had a no start issue again. Come over here, do this to the wires, lift them up, and bam, she started. So I do believe it could be the connection point from the harness here. And what you have is this one down in here is where the wires come from the right hand handlebars. This bundle goes in, and then this wire, the green wire, goes in there, and the orange wire. So this sub harness connects to this sub harness, and this connects to the back of the gauges. So it's hard to do a live test on it with everything installed on the bike because of the access points to it. So doing a static test on the bench with the meter, I can't find the fault. Put it on the bike, put everything together, do a dynamic test, power on the system and everything like that, and wiggle the wires, bam, she's good to go. So I'm not sure if the fault is here and it's wiggling, or if it's the other end where it plugs into the back of the gauges, but I've checked the tightness of them both, and everything's fine. All the pins seem to be lining up. Everything seems to be fine. So I don't know. We're going to have to dig into it a little more. We're going to pull this back apart. We're going to get back into that connector there, into the other end of the connector, and just do a third verification on it. And if we can't recreate the fault using the meter, then, or find an open lead, or just a connector end that's messed up or something, because sometimes if you just pinch the connector, the female end down just a little bit, because sometimes they get spread out or whatever, they get damaged, or somebody's done a repair and they put the wrong pin or female connector in there, they just won't line up, they won't connect properly. So we're going to go back through and verify everything. Stay tuned.